All right. Yes, it is time for EMP review on this Wednesday, July 21st of 2021. I'm your host, Chauncey, joined by Chef Brandy. Brandy, how's it going?
It's going well, Chauncey. How you doing today?
I had a walk today, and it was interesting. It wasn't too hot because the clouds were out, but it was a little bit of sun when I was out there, so it wasn't too bad. Now, with that said, we are still in the month of tomato.
Yes,
Right.
indeed.
So before we get to that, though, tell us about the EMP membership, Entrepreneur Meal Plan.
Yeah, so Entrepreneur Meal Plan is a community for entrepreneurs looking to do business and life well. We serve food for your mind, body, and business here. How do we do that? We help you to infuse more plant-based foods into your body to improve your productivity and profits. Now, that's like a lot of words. What exactly do we do and how do we do it? We give you recipes, plant-based specifically, shopping lists, and meal plans. In addition to that, we provide you with weekly cooking demos to help you to hone those skills, a community of like-minded people looking to do the same thing that you're trying to do, and resources, and just a bunch of cool experiences to make the journey of entrepreneurship a lot more fun and exciting.
Exactly. Well said. And if you're here with us live, don't forget you can type in any questions or comments and we'll get to them. So with that said, Brandy, today's recipe is zesty marinated tomatoes.
Yes.
Zesty.
Zesty.
Is that some sort of citrus or something, vinegar?
So yeah, this will give us a little tang in our mouth, zesty.
Okay. Go ahead and get set up for that, Chef, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Sounds good. All right, so we are making a zesty marinated tomato. Now, why tomato? Because tomatoes are in season. And you guys know how much I love in-season tomatoes, right? They're so good. They're so good. And so marinating them just really gives us an opportunity to enjoy the beauty of this ingredient simplicity. So we're going to keep this super simple. Talking about I'm in the middle of a busy day and I just want to make something that like feels and tastes really good. Doesn't involve a lot of prep work. Doesn't involve a lot of fuss. This is the recipe for you. And I will say, growing up, my grandparents used to grow tomatoes. So I have a very special relationship with this botanical fruit that is sometimes thrown into the vegetable category. And my grandma used to just slice these tomatoes and put them on a plate with some mayonnaise, a little bit of sugar, some salt, and some pepper. And they were the most delicious things ever. I'm assuming that was like some type of dressing recipe that she had. And that's all it was. So this is kind of a play on this idea of highlighting the ingredient, which is the tomato. Now, I think that the smaller tomatoes, as I've referred to before, definitely have candy vibes because the grape tomatoes this year and all the time are really sweet. But these are regular tomatoes. These aren't heirlooms. These are just garden tomatoes, as they call them. They tend to have a more salty kind of freshness. I don't know how else to describe them when they're in season. And they actually have a flavor. I don't know if you've ever gotten a tomato that was out of season and it's like just limp and bland and it doesn't have a bite to it. And you're like, why is this even here? Like that's not what a tomato in season tastes like. A tomato in season has some personality. And as you see, guys, I'm literally just slicing these tomatoes into little circles. Nothing fancy. We just rinsed them off and we sliced them. Now, a fun fact or tip about tomatoes that some people don't know: tomatoes are best stored outside of the refrigerator. Tomatoes are best stored outside of the refrigerator and eaten room temperature. So just a little fun fact. They get cold. They don't taste as great cold. So if you're going to use them, if you want to keep them in the fridge to stop them from deteriorating, like stop them from continuing to get fresh, continuing to ripen, you can put them in the fridge, but you might want to take them out the day before in order to get them back room temperature, or a little before, so that you can enjoy them not cold and straight out of the refrigerator. Now, this is just some good old fresh garlic. This is, I slice some tomatoes. I'm going to crush some garlic. Really, really simple. Crush some garlic. I like garlic. If you don't have fresh garlic, you could totally use garlic powder. But we're going to use this fresh garlic that I have today. The best way, the easiest way I found to get garlic out of the skin is just to smash it first and then chop it down. And we're gonna put this in raw. So I would recommend cutting it into smaller pieces. And you know what, entrepreneur meal plan, we always remind you to use your lines. And what does that mean? That means we're gonna cut our ingredients into strips and then cut them into strips another way, so that we can make the cutting process a lot easier. Now, I want to break these down pretty aggressively because they're raw, and we want to get as much of that garlic flavor out of them, and we're not putting these into a pot to toast up or anything like that. And I mean, I like garlic, but I don't know if I just want to taste a big chunk of it in my mouth. So cutting it up little encourages us to, number one, not just have big chunks of garlic, but also to be able to more evenly distribute it throughout the dish. So just chop that up and rub it on there. Now, earlier today, I did a little bit of batch cooking. Batch cooking is one of the strategies that I use to make sure that I have some food in my house all the time, so that when I'm hungry, I don't just go for random stuff. And I have left over from that just the couple pieces of celery, small diced celery, and some red onion. Now, generally speaking, when I do this recipe, I will use a shallot, but I didn't have any shallots today, so we'll put it in red onion. So just if you don't have red onion, you could totally do a shallot. You could totally do a white onion. You can do whatever type of onion you have available. My recommendation would be the small diced red onion, or a small white onion or sweet onion. Not so much the yellow in this situation. I personally like yellow onions cooked because they're super strong and it just helps when they cook down. And I'm just taking the rest of this end of the onion, cutting my lines across the bottom, across the top. Now I'm taking those and I'm putting them inside as well. Now we just added some celery, which gives us a little saltiness. We have some little bits of actually sweet peppers in here too that made it into this mix. We have some garlic, and we have some small diced onion, red onion. Now I'm going to just take this mixture of veggies, rub it in, make sure every little slice of tomato has a little bit of this yumminess on it. So we just want to distribute it evenly, as you can see, onto this dish, right? And then we're going to just pour in vinegar of choice. Now, I am going to go with a mix of rice vinegar. I like rice vinegar. It just adds a nice note. It is light, and it has a little brightness. It's a little sweet as well. And I'm going to add some apple cider vinegar to give us a little bit of tang, right? A little tang. I've also made this recipe with red wine vinegar, which works really nicely as well. I'm going to do just a little bit of salt. There's some salt that's going to be coming from the celery as well, but tomatoes and salt, they just make me happy. And then a little bit of fresh ground pepper. Now, this particular pepper that I'm using today is actually something called grains of paradise, which is a different type of black pepper. So if you're looking for some different spices to add into your life, I would recommend trying out some grains of paradise, and that all kinds of different peppers that we could talk about. But yeah, and then you literally just rub the I like to just massage or something about just making sure things are worked in. So, preferably you like wash your hands before you did this, because you are really intimately marinating these tomatoes, right? And there you go. So I am going to get the kitchen cleaned up and then come back and meet you guys, and then I'll show you a finished product at the end.
All right. So if you have any questions, let us know in your comment section. And I have questions as usual.
All right.
So there we go. And the music said, no, I'm coming back.
I love it. Zesty.
Yeah. You know what? Looking at the bowl today, Brandy, there of the broccoli, cauliflower, and carrots, I started getting hungry. This is a testament to eating plants. I mean, who would start getting hungry looking at that? Now, speaking of one of my favorite plants, the tomato, when is tomato season?
Tomato season is between, like, if we talk about the freshest, like the most exciting tomatoes, it's between May and the end of July. Like, that's when you get like the harvest of like really yummy tomatoes. They can get a tomato all year round, but that's when they're going to be absolutely delicious.
Mm-hmm. I would not have predicted that. May to the end of July. Interesting. Christine is here. Hey, Christine.
Hey, Christine.
Here's Christine's question. How many types of black pepper? Come on, Christine. Now, you know there are a whole bunch.
So many. That's a trick question. There's so much freaking pepper.
But black pepper.
Black pepper.
He's being fair there. Black pepper.
All right. Right now, I can think of 3. I can think of 3 off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's probably so many more.
Yeah, because you did say the grains of paradise. One of my favorites, everybody, is Telecherry black pepper.
Yeah,
Telli cherry black pepper. It's expensive though,
but it's worth it because you don't use that much of it. It comes.
Yeah, if you want some black pepper, get the Telecherry. Let me tell you something now.
All right, Chauncey, tell them how you really feel about it.
That's one of my favorite spices. It's a splurge, but it's worth it for me, especially because I don't use salt. So, you got to do something. Vinegar and black pepper. Now, here's a question for you. What are some vegetables that can be grown easily at home?
Oh, my goodness. Vegetables grown easily at home. So people have had success with, what are those things called? Zucchini. People have had success with squash. I feel like herbs are probably...
People have had. What is this?
Yours truly, like I say, I can cook.
People have had.
People have had success. I can cook them really well. I don't think you could grow with them. But I'm very hopeful. I just planted some potatoes, and potatoes require you to put the buds into dirt and then harvest them at the end of like a year. So hopefully I don't mess those up. We'll see what happens next year. But yeah, that's actually an easy thing to grow at home too. You can grow them in a bag. You can literally grow them in like I'm growing mine in an IKEA bag with just some soil and some some potatoes that sprouted, like those little sprouty things, and just put them in the soil, and I'll see what happens in a year.
Interesting. And I know you have mushrooms going.
Oh yeah, mushrooms. They're not
also the scallion you keep regenerating.
Yes, I can do that. So those, I'm successful at that. And mushrooms though took a little bit to get. I can actually, since we brought up mushrooms, my latest harvest is actually right in front of me. I'm going to grab it.
Show off.
Share
Show off.
Guys. Okay, we are
braggart.
We are successfully in the second harvest of the yellow oyster mushroom.
Oh wow!
So yeah, like they're coming up, and it's taken me a while to figure out the environment that best keeps them. You know, it's a fungus, so you need it to be humid, but you also need some airflow. It's but I'm figuring
it's like fungus bonsai.
Yeah. That's the yellow oyster. So yeah.
Christine says, I grow lettuces, small tomatoes, and basil.
Yeah.
Or basil.
Yeah, and lots of people have a good success with that.
Yeah. And Christine is also complimenting. Look at this. Learn something each time I tune in. Right. All right, thank you. All right. Now, let's keep going. Another question for you. What other kinds of produce should be stored outside the fridge?
Cucumbers, onions, avocado. Those are the things that come to mind. I know lots of people put it, your favorite avocado, that people put into the refrigerator. And I personally, and I don't know if this is a personal thing or a technical thing, I haven't referenced it. I prefer mango outside of the fridge. I feel like when it's cold, it doesn't give you that full experience. Yeah.
So what about like a cantaloupe, a watermelon?
Those things are better. I feel cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. What are some great ways to use celery?
Oh, celery. Celery can go into almost anything. Definitely your salads. I think they're a great base to just throw into a salad. If you're cooking a grain, if you're cooking a bean, cutting up some celery and putting it in with your kind of starter herbs, your your onions and your aromatics that you put at the top, at the bottom of your dish to kind of infuse flavor into it. Celery goes there. You can also saute celery. So it's not necessarily something that I'm really into. I tend to like celery cold. But when you usually get celery, at least I know I can never really work through the whole bunch if I don't intentionally use it. Like I have to go, I'm going to eat celery. But if you don't just want to eat celery, you can saute it with like peppers and onions, kind of like a stir fry, and it's cool. Like I'm not running out to order it, but if I wanted to use my celery in a different way, that's an option.
Yeah, and like what is it, ants on a log?
Oh my goodness, I discovered that last year, like as if it was brand new. It was like my favorite thing ever. Peanut butter and freaking raisins with celery. Tastes great.
What do you think? Do you think you could do a riff on that with hummus?
Absolutely. But I would probably make ladybugs on a log. So I would take the hummus and then I would put little pieces of tomato on it.
Oh, I like that. Now, Christine is saying, whatever you say, forget it, Brandy. I always put everything in the fridge, especially the onions. Take that. Be quiet.
And potatoes. Don't put potatoes in the fridge either.
Yeah.
Leave those out of the fridge.
I don't even buy potatoes. It's a waste of my time. I can't store those things. I get them frozen. Frozen potatoes. Then got to worry about it. All right. One more question for you. And here it is. Could you grill this recipe or cook it in some other way?
You could totally. Grilled tomatoes are great. They're great. We're actually gonna talk about that next week. A little hint. So grilled tomatoes are great. You could totally grill and then marinate. It would add another texture or flavor to this recipe. Oh,
so you would grill it first, then marinate it.
Yeah. I mean, you could marinate it and grill it, but I like I like the tomato like on its own. So that's just me. So I would just grill it by itself and then treat it with whatever I'm going to top it with.
Yeah, or maybe you grill it twice. Grill it by itself, marinate, grill again.
All right, we got what is it?
I'm getting hungry.
The twice cooked tomato, like the twice stuffed potato going on over here.
On that note, we hope that you have enjoyed this, joining us, everybody. We always enjoy ourselves. But to do our sign off properly, Brandy, you forgot to tell them it's $30.23 a quarter to join EMP.
Yes.
All right. You get to be with us. You get to have your recipes. You get to have your shopping lists. You get to have a community of like-minded people. You get to take care of your mind and body and business. You get all of it. Your soul.
All right, Joe.
And Christine agrees. See this? Christine agrees. Thank you. Christine is the authority. So with that said, everybody, we thank you so much. Thank you, Brandy. We always say do life and business well, and we will continue to do that until we have our next EMP review next Wednesday. That's July 28th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's the final day of Tomato, isn't it, Brandy?
It is. It is our last one.
Well, with that, I'm going to sign off. Brandy, show us that marinated, the zesty marinated tomato.
Look at this.
Pull it up and goodbye. Bye-bye.
Later.